My husband and I did a 10-day northern Italy adventure, and we spent our first 3 days of the trip in the Cinque Terre. We flew into Milan and took the train down to the Cinque Terre, which is about 4 hours. The train will take you directly into Monterosso al Mar, which is where you'll hop on a second train to get down to whatever town you are staying in. We chose to stay in the beautiful town of Manarola. From the train station, you have to go down and then back up a set of stairs, and then through a tunnel to be able to enter the town. Once you exit the tunnel, the town completely opens up and is so stunning. We rented an Airbnb up on the hillside. Beware if you're looking to stay in Manarola, most of the town is super hilly. Luckily, we are pretty young and in shape, and the climb was totally worth it. We rented an adorable studio Airbnb overlooking the Ligurian Sea. From our room, we could actually see people jumping off the cliffs in the harbor below. So naturally, the first thing we did was throw on our bathing suits and head down to join some of the action. These rocks are no joke. They look like they're not super high, but once you get up on them, trust me, you're not going to want to jump off. Many of the locals were jumping off the highest rock and even doing backflips, which we did not attempt. It's a bit of a walk to get down to where you can actually go into the water. There are several staircases and a steep hill that you do have to go down, so keep that in mind if you have any mobility issues. We traveled there in June, and the water was absolutely freezing. Once you jump in, you realize how deep the water actually is. And many of the rocks in the water are very slippery, so be careful. A lot of people were actually wearing water shoes. You're definitely going to want to spend a decent amount of time here, so definitely put a couple hours for this on your itinerary. After swimming, we headed back up to our Airbnb to get ready for dinner. I didn't record our dinner, but we ate at Trattoria dei Billy. I definitely think it was a must-stop if you're visiting Manarola. Our Airbnb was already up on the cliffside, so we just had a short walk to the restaurant, but beware, it is a very steep climb up to the restaurant if you're not already staying up there. After dinner, we grabbed ourselves a bottle of wine from the Cinque Terre and enjoyed it overlooking our beautiful view. The next morning, we woke up and prepared for our beach day. We caught the first train we could over to Monterosso al Mar. Monterosso is an adorable town in the Cinque Terre and is probably the most flat of all of them. It's also the only one with a true beach. We started out by just walking around and exploring the town and finding a little spot to stop for breakfast. Once we finished breakfast, we went down to the beach. Note, there are definitely some umbrellas and lounge chairs set up, but you do have to pay for those. Instead, we opted to just lay on the rocks. We brought our own towels, and it was perfect. Now, if you're used to sand beaches, beware the rocks are a little bit painful under your feet, but it's totally worth it for the views. And I highly recommend you get one of these rum buckets from Stella's Marina Beach Bar. After our beach day, we headed back to Manarola to freshen up for dinner. From our Airbnb, we realized we could see Corniglia and Monterosso al Mar, which was really cool to see after being there for the morning. And as for Corniglia, we'll be hiking there tomorrow morning. After freshening up, we headed onto the train to get to Vernazza. Vernazza is the village that inspired Disney Pixar's Luca, and I highly recommend you watch it before coming. The harbor in Vernazza is incredibly picturesque, and we couldn't help but just walk around in awe. It was so fun to watch the fishermen in their boats and the trains driving by. We grabbed ourselves a little espresso before dinner and just sat on the rocks and took it all in. One of the highlights for me was actually seeing a little kid playing soccer in the square. It was straight out of the movie Luca. Vernazza was incredibly walkable. There were so many nooks and crannies to explore. We had a lot of time to kill before dinner, so after relaxing on the rocks and sunbathing for a bit, we decided to explore more of the village. We're huge cat people on this channel, and we actually left 2 kitties at home, so it felt like a little slice of home seeing this little kitty in the souvenir stand. For dinner, we went to Ristorante Belfort. It's called that because the restaurant is actually in an old fort perched on the side of the rocks. We enjoyed some squid ink pasta and some locally cut fish, And for dessert, we went with a recommendation from our waiter. And we rounded out the night by listening to some live music. The next morning, we grabbed some lattes and some pistachio croissants and headed out on our hike. One of the amazing things about the Cinque Terre is that you can hike between any of the towns. Some of the hikes you have to pay for in advance, so definitely check that out before hiking. We chose this hike because at the time it was free and it was a very convenient way for us to go see Corniglia. This hike was absolutely beautiful. We passed several private residences on the way, and we even got to meet this adorable Italian dog. The beginning of this hike is truly challenging if you're coming from Manarola to Corniglia. There were some pretty steep staircases that needed to be climbed. Luckily, on the way up, you're weaving through vineyards, olive groves, and even farms. We had to take a short pit stop in one of the hilltop villages called Velastra. It's not considered part of the Cinque Terre, which kind of added to its charm because it wasn't touristy at all, and the only people that were there were locals. After grabbing a beer and a quick Powerade to fuel up, we were back on our way to Corniglia. This hike took us about 2 hours in total, and after stopping in Velastra, most of it was downhill. If you're planning to visit the Cinque Terre, I highly recommend you go on one of the hikes. It's truly the best way to see the towns from above. Once we arrived in Corniglia, we were ravenous. We quickly did a lap around the entire town, and then swiftly found ourselves a place to stop and eat. Corniglia is the only town that doesn't have direct water access, but you are able to walk to the end of the town to see the water over the cliffs. After our hike, we headed back to Manarola for my favorite activity of our entire trip. Our activity/lunch for the afternoon was Nessun Dorma. We read absolutely incredible reviews online about their pesto making class, so we had to try it out for ourselves, and I'm so glad we did. While you're learning to make the pesto, the owner himself is actually there and tells you the story of how Nessun Dorma was formed. The Cinque Terre is known to be the place where pesto actually originated. And as it turns out, there's a very delicate process that goes into making it. Nessun Dorma is definitely an experience where you can plan to make some friends. We sat at a community table between a mother-daughter duo and a mother-son duo. We thought this class had an incredible value. I think we only paid $80 per person, but with that we actually got the aprons you see everyone wearing. We learned how to make pesto from scratch, and they gave us the recipe to bring home. On top of that, they gave us a free bottle of wine to enjoy while we were making the pesto, and a bottle of wine to take home. And that's not all. The staff was incredibly friendly and helpful throughout this entire process and made it so much more enjoyable. You'll see this in a little bit, but we were also given basically a full lunch. They gave us a huge board filled with prosciutto, focaccia, melon, even some burrata. It was more than enough to fill the two of us up. We even topped off the class with a short little dance party break. It was everything we needed to keep the mood going.
Every day, we open from 4:30 till 9. From May till November, I do this.
After attempting to finish the enormous plate of food they gave us, we wanted to keep the party going with some of the friends we made at the event. The son that we were sitting next to at our table wanted to go cliff jumping, so we went to support him. Next, we headed to our final village, Riomaggiore. We were so incredibly impressed with this town. While we 100% recommend staying in Manarola, this would definitely be our second option. We didn't really have any plan while coming to Riomaggiore. All we knew is that we wanted to try to sit on the rocks and watch the sunset. Being the southernmost town of the Cinque Terre, we found Riomaggiore to be way less busy and just a nice way to end our trip. There were several other people who had the same idea as us who grabbed a Coke and a pizza and sat on the rocks and watched the sunset. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're planning a trip to the Cinque Terre, please check out the blog post linked below for all the details. It's way more detailed and it's packed with tips, hidden gems, and everything we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more travel inspo.